Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is for all of you Hoya people. In the spirit of getting to all the planty projects I've been putting off for way too long and all the home projects, I wanted to tackle the Hoya cabinet today. So this is my Millsbo tall that I've had rigged as a Hoya cabinet for maybe a year and a half. Maybe even longer than that, actually, maybe like 2 years. This cabinet used to be an aeroid cabinet, and it was all fine and good when the philodendrons and anthuriums were small, but once they started getting too big, it was too shallow of a depth to contain them, so they're all smushing up against the glass. So the only thing I feel like I could grow in this cabinet are Hoyas. And because this cabinet does get quite warm and it's well lit, the Hoyas are quite happy in there when they get watered. So just to give you guys some context on my journey with this cabinet, I installed it, I loved it, the Hoyas loved it, they were growing super well, and then they started to grow a little too well and the vines were twirling around each other. It was getting really messy. I think I might have had flat mites at one point because a lot of the Hoyas suddenly got like inexplicably sad. But when it got to the point where the vines were way too messy and they were growing like in one tangled up mass, that is the point where I kind of got overwhelmed and I just stopped buying Hoyas, very rarely watered the Hoyas, and over time the Hoyas have grown, but they haven't grown as well as they should have. But I think subconsciously I was purposely trying to stall the growth because when I went on vacation, I put the lights on for I think 6 hours versus the 12 hours they normally get. And when I came back from vacation, all the other timers got reset to their 12-hour cycle except for the Hoya cabinet. I think I purposely was trying to slow down the growth, but a couple weeks ago, I think it was a week and a bit ago, I went in and just like chopped off all the vines, like the leafless vines that had like intertwined at the top of the cabinet. Already I can feel my mood towards Hoyas shifting. So I found myself a couple of times just standing at the cabinet, looking at growth, looking for new growth. I was starting to feel myself going back to my love of Hoyas. And at one point I even considered like getting rid of this cabinet completely, but I wasn't ready to get rid of Hoyas completely. So I think I'm gonna keep it because I don't know what even would go into this spot anyways. One nice thing about having the Hoyas in here is that other than the one time I had root mealies, which killed my New Guinea ghost, I've never had like mealy bugs in this cabinet, which is actually kind of crazy because my shelf across the room I've been battling mealy bugs for a while. They're a lot better now. It's almost all gone, but I've never had mealybugs in here. So that's a lot of background to say that we're going to finish up the refresh today. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of take out every plant and show them to you so I can show you my entire Hoya collection or what is left after I've purged a whole bunch of them. And with like an empty cabinet, I can kind of put them back to where they might be growing optimally. And I have like little wire shells, little wire baskets in there as well. I can move them around because I think that some Hoyas aren't getting quite enough light. And I might show you a little bit of how I've rigged the inside of it to house these Hoyas. It's very similar to how I've rigged my tent. So if you've seen my grow tent tour, I showed you like how I rigged some like wire grid backings. And also just a quick warning, you're going to hear dog sounds in this video because we're on the dog floor now. Huxley and Doug are just behind you guys, like behind a gate, and they're sleeping, but Doug has never seen a softbox before or a camera, and he's very curious. He's sleeping now, but he might wake up and be like upset that he can't join me. And right next to me is Rick. I really had to psych myself up to do this video. This video is more for me than for you guys, to be very honest, because this needs to get done. I've already got the hard part done, which is hacking everything back and selling the plants I don't want to keep anymore. We're now at the easy part, which is arranging them the way I like them and also repotting the ones that need repot because I actually really like repotting. All right, here we go. I also have some Hoyas growing across the room in my plant shelf, my open plant shelf, so I'll be like coming back and forth to show you those as well. Okay, let's start here at the bottom. This is Hoya Finlaysonii from North Shore Tropicals. Why are you so sticky? There's like the syrupy sticky stuff on it. What? Do Hoyas make sticky stuff? Anyways, I've had this plant quite a long time. I want to say at least a year. And I always thought it was very cute because it's like a very dark green. Lauren had some of these at the shop where it was growing in lower light, or a mixture of low light and high light. And the ones growing in lower light had these like massive leaves, which I think Hoyas often do. I've had that experience where like when it gets less light, they produce these humongous leaves that are quite dark. So this is living in like lower light because it's like down at the bottom of the cabinet. And I believe when it gets higher light, it does something like veinier like that. I really like the way it looks because it's just so round and puffy and dark with like veins if you get right up close. So this is something that a lot of my Hoyas are experiencing, which is like it puts out a vine and then it dies off at the tip because I forget to water it. I think I water this thing maybe once every 3 weeks, which is not enough. It's living in soil, Lauren's shop soil. I do want to get this one into a bigger pot, and I've been growing all of my Hoyas, with the exception of a few like that come in different substrates. I've been growing mine in pond. So when I propagate, I grow it in pond. When I get like a fresh cutting, I put it in pond. I've been thinking to get them into tree fern soil. I know that Hoyas can grow well in a variety of different substrates, so a lot of people will only grow in soil. I've been hearing, and I haven't done a ton of what's that called, experimentation on substrates with Hoyas because I just like gravitate towards pond. But people have been recommending tree fern for Hoyas. I don't think that I would use straight tree fern for Hoyas just because I want to like save my tree fern for my anthuriums, but I could do tree fern soil. And my thought is that that kind of substrate would be more water retentive than the pond that I use, which has a lot of perlite. There's pumice in there sometimes from like Jing's homemade pond. So that would definitely keep the Hoyas happier with the kind of water schedule that I'm giving them. The only thing is that it would increase the fungus gnats in the cabinet, which is like really annoying when I can see like fungus gnats flying around. But also there's usually one spider that lives in here. He's not there right now. I don't know where he went, but he'll probably come back, and he makes these huge webs inside. So where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so for all the plants that I'm repotting, which we aren't going to do today because I'm not trying to do a 2-hour video, but what I'm trying to say is that even though we're not repotting today, I will be setting aside Hoyas to repot, and I think I'm going to be doing tree fern soil for them. This one is from Jing. This one is a Hoya Wilbur Graves China no ID variety, so not the actual Russian Wilbur Graves. It is so stinking pretty. It has barely grown since I got it. It only very recently put out this long vine and one new leaf, but it is deliciously splashy. I don't have a ton of like silvery Hoyas anymore. I think most of my Hoyas are more of like the reptilian ancient dumpster variety, but this one I quite like, and I actually really do like Wilbur Graves. I only have ever owned a revered Wilbur Graves that's quite green, which I'll see later, but I do really like this one. It is very cool. It's very long. If you are not a Hoya person, my understanding of the differences between this one and the real Wilbur Graves, not just it being a completely different plant, but in looks, it has a very elongated leaf, whereas Wilbur Graves has short little stubby, round, compact, cutie leaves, but these ones are always very elongated. But essentially, like the patterning and the color are pretty much the same, at least to my eyes. Anything that's in like this big of a pot, I will definitely repot because these dry out like in a week. So this one is my reverted Wilbur Graves that I just mentioned. This came off of a Russian Wilbur Graves, but it only produces cute little freckly splash, which I actually freaking love. It is so adorable. I got this on a trellis. This is an Arca trellis from Charmaine. I like trellises for what they do for Hoyas. I don't like trellises really for any other plant, just because it bothers me that it's really hard to get them to stand like stick straight. It stresses me out with Hoyas because of the fact that if you twine it around wrong, it'll just kill off the ends of the vines. And it doesn't ever seem like they will voluntarily twirl themselves around the trellis, whereas they will twirl themselves around other things in my cabinet. So I don't really understand how to get Hoyas to trellis properly. For a little while, this plant got pretty sad and all the leaves were doing this. And so I up-potted it and then got on a trellis, and then the new leaves that came in were a lot nicer. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I think I need to get this one a little bit more front and center because I really enjoy looking at that. It's such a pleasantly round, cute leaf. Like in some ways I do quite want a Russian Wilbur Grace with a lot of silver, but this is quite nice because there's zero stress. Like you're not worried about it reverting because it already reverted, and it's very cute. I think it's kind of similar to like Carnosa Stardust, but I think, and Jing can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this one in particular, because it's Wilbur Graves reverted, it will stay like really round and small. But I don't really know Hoyas that well. This is, oh, this one really needs a repot. This is my Hoya, which one am I going to show you? This is my Hoya chicken farm. And I don't remember where I got this. I want to say Jing because she's my default Hoya dealer, but I don't remember getting it from her, but I also don't remember getting it from anyone. There's a dog hair on it. This freaking took forever to grow a leaf, and that leaf didn't form properly because it got underwatered, and then the vine that it grew is dead. So I definitely need to get it into something deeper. Maybe it would do well in soil. I don't know. This one is not an easy grow for me. I've heard other people having a hard time like with a dormant chicken farm and it doesn't ever grow, but I think it's such a cool dumpster Hoya. It is so splashy and like crusty and jaggedy. No idea what this hybrid is. I think it's a hybrid. I'm probably just gonna be spewing all these like non-Hoya facts. All right, this one is Hoya SPH. Look at this beautiful leaf. I don't think I really have the capacity to grow leaves this big in my conditions. I think it has to be like full on, full sun, super hot, super humid. But this is like beautiful Hoya and it's been growing really reliably. I've probably chopped it like 5 times to sell. I did it pretty recently. This is, no, this one's the newest leaf. It's so sharp, so freaking sharp. This one is SPH, as in it's a Hoya SP collected from the Aceh region or province. But when you search for SPH, this is not the one that is commonly sold. Well, not commonly sold. It's not a common Hoya, but like it's not the one that is circulating as SPH. So that's all I know. Jing must have imported this from Indonesia at some point, but this one is like a beautiful, beautiful Hoya. And this one definitely needs to be repot because it's in one of these cups and it had a hook in it and it broke. And one day I found this had fallen. But yeah, this one has been growing really well in pond. So I probably would just like keep it in pond, but in a bigger vessel. But with Hoyas, I don't like to upsize the pot very much because they are actually quite happy being quite snug. So it's really just getting them into like nicer glass vessels. Here is another dumpstery reptile-y one. This one is another Jing plant. This is Hoya SP Tangamus. I really like this one. It's so contrasty, so veiny. The veins are so dark and it's very jaggedy and thick. You can feel that. This new leaf, not quite so thick because it's quite small, but it does have that like jaggedy rough edge that Hoya Clemenciorum has. My Clemenciorum, my original one, is no longer with us. This beautiful thing. I don't know what took it. I have an inkling that it was flat mites, and I don't know why that flat mites would have left my other Hoyas alone if it killed this plant, but it was actually one of the only ones that had that. Rick, can you stop snoring? Rick? But it was actually one of my only Hoyas that had that cluster growth of like growth points that never turned into leaves. But this plant fully died, like just dead, fully dead. So this one actually does fill that Clemenciorum itch for me because it really does remind me a lot of it, especially from the back. Do you see how crusty it is? I've also chopped this one a ton of times to sell, and this one would actually be a perfect cutting to sell. I just don't know Hoyas very well, so I'm like, how many times can I cut it back to like the mother leaf before it like runs out of growth points? I truly don't know. This is a little prop that has grown so much. This is Hoya Huiskeliana variegate. Oh my gosh, Rick, you gotta stop. So this one I got as like maybe like a 2 or 3 leaf plant from Jing, and she calls this the apple chip Hoya because it's so cute. like little tiny apple chips. They actually remind me of the little frog candies. And it's such a cute little trailing Hoya. And if you sun stress it, it gets like super pink, which I haven't been able to do. It's under two 10-watt Barinas, the Barina T5s, and not strong enough to sun stress, but it is very cute. I don't know that this one needs to be repot. I think this one's fine actually. I would love for it to branch off one more time to get like 3 of these. Is it actually branching off? I see a hint of something here, but it would be really nice to get like a 3rd little vine trailing down. This is so not like my type of Hoya, but I think it's so adorable. I don't like little like small leaf Hoyas that much. I just don't find them as satisfying as like a big juicy crusty ugly leaf. Oh, this one definitely needs to be repot because it's always drying out. This is my Hoya Polyneura Brogue with the silvery guy. This is definitely one of the thirstier Hoyas, and I don't give her what she needs. I would love for this one to start trailing, but it really wants to grow upright. I just brought this down from my plant room. I don't think I need to grow it in my plant room anymore. This is my regular Polyneura, which actually is trailing, and I will repot her. This vine died off from underwatering. I think this would be, both of these actually, I think both of these would be great candidates for tree fern soil just because they drink so much heavier than my other Hoyas. I might even pot them all together and have it trailing off my living room shelf because I don't think that I get to enjoy it very much in here, and I really like Polyneura. It's such like an elegant, pretty Hoya. It's not on Rick's head, but we're gonna stop now. I think I will pot them together and I think it'll look really nice. This one, can I even take you down? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, this one might be difficult. This one probably needs a repot, but I don't know if I want to give it another pot. I don't know. I'll decide later. This is my Hoya, I want to say Macrophylla, but I also know that like they reclassified something with Macrophylla and it's all Sarawak, or is it the other way around? Anyways, I imported this as Hoya Macrophylla with Splash. It has been extremely easy and it's been growing like nice round puffy leaves, and I've chopped it more times than I can count because this always climbs to the very tippity top of my cabinet and it lives on the bottom floor. But I do enjoy having this wall of like round leaves, round gummy shiny leaves right in the corner there. Maybe it needs a trellis, to be honest. It's growing freestyle. It's just like leaning on the corner of my cabinet. This is my, it's rooted? Yes, it's rooted. Okay, this is my Hoya obovata Splash. No, wait. Hoya obovata variegated. This is a plant that I imported, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's grown a lot. This is the top cutting that I cut like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and recently I just chopped like the last bit of like new growth off and then chucked the mother because the mother was looking really sad. So this is what I'm going to be keeping. I think it's very cute. I have another obovata without variegation. This one's not a very highly variegated one, but I do really enjoy the obovata shape and how every leaf comes out looking so different, because sometimes you have these like really round guys and sometimes you have these like kind of almost carry-eye looking guys. I hope that it becomes more variegated because when they have like tricolor, so here you can see there's like 3 colors here, when it really spreads around the leaf, I think it is absolutely stunning. This is one of my favorites. This is Hoya villosa. It's not, okay, it's not globulosa, right? Because I don't know, things change so much in the Hoya world that I can't keep up, and I'm in the Hoya group, and sometimes I'm just like, I feel like the people that are like, I don't understand what's happening with anthuriums. That's how I feel in the Hoya groups, because I'm like, wait, they changed this now? What's this one called again? There's globulosa and villosa, and there's like a cow dang variety. I don't know what this one is. I just been calling it Hoya villosa, and it has like rounder, wider leaves than globulosa. They tend to be kind of like this shape, this almost like rounded rectangle shape, and I think it's so cute because there's fuzzies on the top and then a crap ton of fuzzies on the back, and it's so soft. This is texturally one of my favorite Hoyas of all time, and it's so dark and just, it's such a pretty dark color. And it's also a very easy grower, quite drought tolerant in my experience because these like really thick juicy vines. This one could get repot maybe. I don't know what I want to put it on because it doesn't look good like this. I want to do something, I don't know. I need to just get some mini trellises. I'll put that on my to-do list this week when I go to the shop because Lauren has some awesome trellises. They're like clear acrylic, but they're like round. So it's like quite thick and quite sturdy in the pot, and they don't break because I found that like Arca trellises snap sometimes, but these round ones that Lauren carries are like really tough. So maybe like a little mini one, even just to like hold it like this would be nice. All right, this one is not the easiest one. This is Hoya Sulawesiana. I'm hesitant to repot this just because I think it might throw a fit, but it is quite a cool one. It's like very grainy, leathery, super elongated. It just has kind of an annoying growth pattern. So maybe this one could also use a trellis and just do something like that. I'm gonna need so many trellises. Okay, I need to be very careful with this one. This one is Hoya Rinsei Borneo. I got this from Crystal Star Nursery so freaking long ago. See? Crystal Star Nursery. This one I showed, I don't even know how long ago. Kind of like when I first started my channel and I was like, this thing never grows. And someone said it might have flat mites because flat mite stops growth, although it never even tried to grow. And then very recently, I put out the thinnest vine ever. And this is why I have to be really careful. There are 2 leaves coming in. I do not want to break these leaves because they're the only Rinsei Borneo leaves I've ever grown in like 3 years. So it's been living in pot, and I just noticed it never drinks. It is rooted, I can see roots. Maybe once these come out, I might take a top cut and try to propagate it. Actually, there's some leaf formation down here too. I really want it to grow, so we're gonna be very careful with this one. Rinsei Borneo, I think, is like a very handsome dumpster Hoya. It's like got this like really symmetrical looking with some splash and some purples. It's like a very pretty Hoya. Maybe you just need a pond refresh. This one is Hoya Lambii Af. Don't know anything about this Hoya, but it is very cute. It does have the potential to be quite ancient dumpster. This is the leaf that Jing gave it to me with. It was like a 1 leaf cutting, I believe. And then this one grew in my care, and this one grew in my care. And then as it got a little bit taller, it got less dusty looking. You see how glossy that is compared to like these ones? And I don't think that that's just like straight up dust because it's not coming off. Like I can't shine it up. It just looks different now. This leaf is quite thin and glossy. It looks so different, and it's weird because like now it will be closer to the light, but it's getting less crusty. I'm confused. But this one also survived the purge because it is like such a cute one, and it's like very low maintenance. Like it gets like full on neglected because it's kind of in the back of my cabinet, and that part doesn't get a lot of light, so it never really needs water. So I just kind of let it sit there, and I never have to do anything to it. Okay, this one is like one of my favorite Hoyas in this cabinet just because of like the way it's grown on this driftwood. It's not driftwood, it's manzanita wood, I think, like aquarium wood. So this is Hoya Valmayoriana, and I got this as like a, not a small plant. It was like maybe this big from Lauren years ago, like so many years ago, back when she was purging on Facebook. She doesn't purge on Facebook anymore, but I got it onto this stick because I thought it looked nice actually like twining up a tree, and it has looked so nice. I think this might be actually just be straight up lechuza pond. Oh no, I see some leca in there, but I don't see orchiata or anything. And it's been very low maintenance. It doesn't grow a ton of vines. Like it doesn't vine all over the place. But yeah, this one is like a very unassuming Hoya. I think the individual leaves are nothing to write home about. They're not really texturally that amazing, but as like one big plant like this, I really enjoy it. So I have no intention of getting rid of this until like maybe one day if I were ever to like dismantle the whole cabinet, then I would probably, you know, pass this on to the next person. But as long as I have this cabinet, I really enjoy having this in here because it does look so tree-like. And I really like how it looks. This one is quite a crusty one. This one is Hoya fuwaensis. This one flowers for me fairly regularly. This is the peduncle here. The peduncle is like the thinnest little thing. Like it's just thread, which is quite a stark contrast to how thick and like plasticky these leaves are. They're like, just to show you how hard the leaves are. This one is quite an easygoing one as well. This is one of the ones that lives at the bottom and doesn't get a ton of light, but it does put out like pretty decent splash. This one, did I already say, is from Jing? Another one from Jing was actually from my boyfriend who got it from Jing. He got it for me for my birthday one year. This is Hoya clemensiorum Thailand. So this one I've actually found to be more easygoing than Hoya clemensiorum, which I believe is from Indonesia, which is a lot crustier. Thailand is very green. Like you don't see that high contrast veining. I find the leaves aren't as thick, but that might just be growing conditions. But overall, it's like very, very green in comparison. And over time, I've come to prefer this one just because this one gives me no stress at all. It just grows kind of slowly, but it's growing in just perlite. I think I could repot it into either pond or tree fern soil. And I think I'll probably prop the top for this. I propagated a top cutting. When was it? It was sometime this year, and that was to send to Amanda, but I know she watches my videos. It was more of a prank than anything because she doesn't do Hoyas. Me, Charmaine, and Lauren sent her a box of plants sometime this year, and I just threw in a Hoya because I thought it would be funny. And it actually is still alive. Like I thought she would have thrown it out, but she showed me her Mills bow the other day, and it's like it's there. But I want to prop this leaf just because this vine is not doing me any favors. This one probably needs to go on a trellis too. I'm gonna need to tally up how many trellises I need to buy. This one is also from Lauren. This is Hoya erythrina. She chopped her plant for us sometime last year. I don't remember when, but it is a very cool one. But the plant in general reminds me of, what do they call it? Mermaid's purse. You know how sharks lay their eggs inside of like this like seaweed looking casing? Very, very specific, but that's what erythrina looks like to me. I so nearly sold this in the live sale last week, but I was like, looking at it, I was like, no, I like you too much. It's a very cool Hoya. Like that Venetian I don't have on anything I own, and the black margins. And the way that it sun stresses to purple, I just think it's like such a pretty color. It's a very moody looking Hoya, and I really like it. So I'll get a trellis for her as well. This one definitely needs a repot. This little like dessert cup is not staying hydrated for long enough. This one recently got repot actually because it was drying out all the time, and I was tired of looking at it dying, and it's already looking so much better. This is Hoya, can't see it. Hoya Eves Rocheri, which is from Crystal Star Nursery. It is such a cool Hoya. It just is a little bit messy, which I'm trying to figure out how to get it to look nice, but they have the tiniest little leaves. And I know I said I don't like small leaf Hoyas, but I meant more of like that round coin shaped. These are quite cool. I had another one called Hoya acicularis, and it reminded me a lot of rosemary, and the leaves are like more needle-like and more thick. And that one I've actually found quite difficult, and I killed mine. Charmaine also killed hers. This one, not the same, but similar, and I find it actually a lot easier. This one is a little bit more water-loving in my experience because these leaves are so thin and so tiny, and the vines are so thin and tiny. So I got it from like one of the, no, it was like a 3-inch orchid pot into something a little bit bigger. I think we're almost done the cabinet plants. The last one, oh my gosh. This one needs a trellis. This one is my Hoya callistophila. Okay, this one is the original leaf that I got it with. I freaking love it. It's like a reptile tiger. And it took quite a long time to get going, but once it got going, it freaking got going. So I recently chopped off the top. You can see where I chopped it, hopefully. And maybe I could get it on a trellis so I could do something like that because it would look really nice like that. I think it does really like being in pond. It's very, oh my gosh, very, very well rooted. So I don't really want to get it into something else, but I think it would look nicer in a glass vessel with a trellis on it, like that. What a cool plant. Because right now it's like this, facing forward like that. You don't see barely any of the leaves. And what I'd love to see is all those cool stripings. Okay, so that's all the plants in the cabinet. I was going to bring all my living room shelf Hoyas over to show you, and then I went over there and I was like, there's too many, I don't want to carry it. So I'm gonna bring you to the shelf. Okay, pardon the lack of light. My house is very dark, you guys, but also like the back light is like so strong that it's hard to see the plants. So starting where? Starting here. This is my Hoya clemensiorum, which is like a pretty recent one. I want to say like within the last 6 months. Lauren has been purging a lot of her Hoyas. Why are these stripes? What are those black stripes? Is it better over here? No. What are those black stripes? Are you guys seeing this? Anyways, Lauren, if you haven't noticed, has been trying to purge a lot of the Hoyas from her shop and she hasn't been importing any. So her clemensiorum, her mother clemensiorum, she let me and Charmaine take some top cuttings. And since mine died, like my Indonesian one, I took this one and it's been rooting in pond and I've got it growing in here. At the same sale, she sold her mother, it was one of her personal plants, her Nova Ghost, and I've always wanted one. So I've always wanted a gray ghost, but the Nova Ghost I've heard is a lot easier and it's got a little bit more texture, I think. It's like fuzzier. So I was pretty happy to get this one. And this one is in tree fern because I had heard it grows well in tree fern. And I put a little pond layer at the bottom, but you can see that it did root quite well. Not that it was very quick because it's been, I want to say like 3 months or so. And I believe I saw a growth point, but you're not going to be able to see it with this light. This here is what's left of my Hoya carnosa variegated. What's it called? Regalis? Something like that. Anyway, I used to have 2 plants in a pot and one of them died. I do think that it was not getting enough light in my cabinet, so I moved it here. I've got it growing in leca, but I think I want to repot it, but I don't know to what. But I don't really want to grow it in leca anymore. I don't love the look of the terracotta leca balls. If you watch any of my older Hoya videos, you'll know that Hoya compacta is like my favorite Hoya of all time. This is my green compacta, which has been dealing with mealybugs. So what I've been recently doing with mealybugs, just because straight alcohol wasn't cutting it, I've been using straight 70% alcohol with maybe like, I don't know, an ounce of Castile soap in here. And I just find that it coats the leaf better, but I'm not saying it's a complete cure-all, but it has definitely been better than the just alcohol. So if alcohol is not working for you, definitely you have to use at least 70%. And if you have Castile soap to add in there, then I would give it a try. This thing kind of flowers all the time. I think it's beautiful. I wish it would grow longer and more curls, but it kind of has been just like staying like this for a while. But then again, I don't really want to disturb it. And I know that Hoyas can live in the same pot for like 30 years. So I'm just trying to treat the mealybugs, but I don't really want to repot it. I also really like how it looks inside of this like beigey stone pot. Back here is my Hoya pubicalyx with a lot of splash. This is a very splashy one that I got from Jing. There's a Ripsalis tickling the mic right now, so I'm apologizing if it's sounding really funny, but it is really pretty. I almost sold it in the live sale, but I decided to keep it a bit longer just to make sure it's like completely mealybug free. This is my Hoya Wayetii, a very cute, like low maintenance, traily, kind of traily, pretty traily Hoya. It grows really easily. I also considered getting rid of it, but then I thought, we'll keep you a little bit longer, I think. But once I want this spot for something else, this one's probably gonna go. This here is my rehabbing Hoya linearis. So I've been neglecting this shelf quite a bit until very recently. So I didn't even realize, actually I see mealybug on it right now. I don't know if it's alive or dead, but there's a mealybug right there. This one is very sad. I had been neglecting this shelf so badly that I didn't even realize that this whole thing was fully covered in mealybugs. Basically, I just chopped it. I gave it a bowl cut. I threw away the bottom. I took all the strands and just like dunked it and soaked it in soapy water, like fully submerged for a couple of hours. And then I potted it back up in pon. I can see that some of these cuttings are looking okay and some of these are not rooting. Like this one I'm sure is not rooting. So I might need to cut it a bit further down and try again. But it is looking a lot sadder than it was like maybe 6 months ago when it was looking really full and growing. But it's just, yeah, it needs a little bit of time. This here I got from Lauren, but I don't know the name of it. I want to say it's Lacunosa mint coin. It was a little tiny plant and it's grown quite a bit. This one also had mealybugs and it's in moss, so it definitely needs to be repot. I have a couple of Hoyas rooting over here. So this is, oh my gosh. This is the top cut. How am I going to show you this? This is the top cut of my Hoya SP Germany. So I recently sold the bottom, the mother plant, and I just took the top cutting, popped it in water, and I'll pot this up when it has a good amount of water roots. This one is Hoya SP Loe Province. It's got a really funny, like minty, pale, milky green color with splash. The bottom was looking so ugly that I just took the top off and chucked the bottom. It was very, very sad plant, but it's starting to root in the water. This is another plant that I chopped the top off of. This one is Hoya obovata. So I was showing you my variegated one earlier. This one is from Charmaine. It needed a repot for probably a year. I never got around to it, so it grew really, really weird. So I just chopped off the 2 cutest leaves and I'll root that and restart it. Very last one. This one was living in my guest bedroom where I edit. This one is Hoya undulata. We got this from Lauren maybe like a year and a half ago. Oh my God, it has mealybugs. Oh my gosh. Look at that. So annoying. But it's good because I do need to repot this because it's still in the moss that she acclimates in. And if you've bought from Lauren anytime in like the last year, you'll know that she hasn't been acclimating in moss for a really long time. So that means this is really old. And I put it off for so long just because I know it's going to throw a huge fit going from moss to any other substrate, but it just needs to be done. And when I get all the moss off the roots, I can submerge this thing, wash it really well with soap and get it like sprayed down with alcohol. Oh my gosh, there's so many mealybugs. How? Literally how? I don't have mealybugs in that room. I have some plants growing there that don't have mealybugs and they're only on this Hoya, as far as I'm aware. Me and Charmaine feature this plant in one of the Who Grows It Better videos, and mine looks so completely different to hers. Mine's like a very bushy, compact one, and the leaves are really tiny in comparison, and they're way crustier. They look like this. Hers are like way more green and way more, they're just bigger. I don't really know why mine looks the way it does, but I do expect when I move it, I think I'll move it probably to tree fern soil or pond. Anything is better than moss. But once I move it, it's going to drop a lot of leaves. I'm actually leaning towards tree fern soil just because I don't have to remove as much moss from the roots if it's tree fern soil, just because it's more similar, kind of meshes a little bit better. I don't think it's the worst to have some moss on the roots when you transition to pond. That's just my experience. I think it has been fine. I'm just a little bit gravitating towards tree fern soil. But anyway, I don't think this needs to live in my editing room anymore. If I have room in this cabinet, which I do now, I should, because I've gotten rid of so many Hoyas, I'm gonna pot it up. Oh, but it has mealybugs. I'll figure it out later, but I do really like how crusty dusty this one is. I do hope that it doesn't end up vining all over the place. I would love to see it continue with this like very bushy growth pattern. Past vines have just kind of shriveled off and died. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not focusing, but I'm pretty sure it's because it's in moss and it's in a south facing window and this dries out quite a lot. So that is all the Hoyas. So I'm gonna take a quick breather and we're gonna tackle rearranging this cabinet. Okay, it's a really weird angle, but I don't have a lot of space to work with because Rick is literally sleeping right here. So I'm going to power through getting all the plants back in. Rather than picking you up and showing you how I got it rigged, I'm just gonna tell you and show you with some phone footage. I have about 30 minutes to film this before I need to feed Doug lunch because he's getting really hungry. I gave him some snacks, but he's getting real cranky now. So you might be able to hear him in the background. So at the top of the cabinet, I have magnetic hooks holding up the wire. So it's like rated for 50 pounds. I just wanted to go for the strongest possible magnetic hooks, and I have 3 of them in there so they can hold the plants no problem. And I just have a piece of aquarium wood in the middle. I don't know, I might get rid of it. It kind of is in the way sometimes. And the shelf, I had it switched out for a wire shelf that my friend Erin got cut for me. At the bottom, I have another grid held up by S-hooks, which has like coco coir, and like it had live sheet moss in it at one point and sphagnum moss. And my vision when I first did it was to be able to spray it all the time. That quickly went down the toilet. And I have another piece of cork bark that I use to sometimes like hold another plant. I think this will be something for next year, but I would like to get that moss background removed and just have like a plain wire grid. At the very top of the cabinet, I have Monio's T8s, which is like a 24 watt bar, I think. And then at the bottom, I have 2 Barina T5s, which are 10 watts each. So I'm not gonna talk you through the whole like rearranging of the shelves. So I'm just gonna do it, throw on some music. Okay, this is, I think, as done as it's gonna get today. I don't know if you can hear Doug in the background, but he's like, feed me right now. So, little changes. Until I get a trellis on here, I've moved this down. So this wire shelf, okay, Doug, you're gonna eat soon. This wire shelf used to be up here, and sometimes the leaf would touch the light and get burnt. So now when I get this plant onto a trellis, it can grow nice and tall. There's lots of vertical space there. I put the Wilbur Gravesy guy here as well. I'll give you a little pan down to the bottom. These plants are gonna be repotted, so they're just kind of like chilling there until I get to them. The Valmoriana is back in its corner. Sulawesiana's up here now. And then the Eve's Rose Sherry, since it kind of trails a little bit, I put it up at the top. Down at the bottom, the Macrophylla thing is back in its corner. I've moved some things around. A couple of these are being repotted, so I just kind of chucked them there. The Polyneras are down here. I'm really warming to the idea of potting them together, so they're just gonna be there for now until I get to potting, and then my little Obovata. And overall, I think I probably have like 4 Hoyas that are water rooting that are gonna go back into this cabinet once it's done. And then just in general, way more space for plants to grow before it gets like crazy again, because that when this whole top of the cabinet was just vines and vines and vines, I can't tell you how much I hated it. And I am just liking this so much better. By the way, this is Rick and Huxley. There's a friend of my mother-in-law, well, I say mother-in-law, we're not married, my boyfriend's mom makes these little felt dogs. She had made Rick first because Rick is the oldest, and then when we got Huxley, she made Huxley as well, and they're just on a piece of aquarium wood. I have so much aquarium wood in my house from having aquariums, but now they don't really have any use, and they actually do really well with plants, because even if it's in water, They're designed to be in water so they don't rot away to nothing. So barring the fun stuff, aka repotting, we are officially done cleaning up this cabinet, which is just such a huge relief. I can't even tell you how many times Charmaine has told me, just do it and film it, just do it and film it. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it. And now it's finally done and I can start liking Hoyas again. I brought the crybaby over to do the outro with me because he's just fussing so much and I know he's so hungry. He's got to eat his lunch. So as of right now, I'm feeling really good because we have officially finished like the big resets of all my plant spaces. I cannot believe that this video is going up in December. Like Christmas is coming so soon. So now I can actually focus on the parts of the hobby that I super enjoy, which is like repotting. Repotting and showing you guys new growth. Hope you guys enjoy this video, especially those of you who've been asking for more Hoya videos. I can't say that it's going to happen all the time because I am still an anthurium girl at heart, but I'm very glad that this has kind of re-sparked my joy when it comes to Hoyas and it's not just pure dread and overwhelm. Anyways, I'm gonna go feed Doug now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah!